So you're thinking about making a move to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I got my Michigan shirt on today because U of M is going to come up, and this video is my honest take on everything you need to know before moving to Ann Arbor. So let's get into it. So whether you've been following my channel for a while or not, it doesn't matter. It means you're doing your research because you're here on this video and you're trying to make heads or tails of what Ann Arbor has to offer and if it makes good financial sense for you and your family. And Ann Arbor just keeps coming up in all of your searches. You got University of Michigan, great schools, walkable downtown, college football on the Saturdays, and this feels like a no-brainer, right? Well, here's the information that you need to understand before you get too deep into this. And there are a ton of great cities here in Southeast Michigan, but what you need to know is Ann Arbor is not like Howell, it's not like Brighton, heck, it's not even like Northville. Ann Arbor is one of the most expensive cities in Michigan, period. So if you're coming here expecting kind of a full Midwest cost of living relief, you're going to be shocked when you start looking at homes. So I'm going to unpack it all for you guys in this video. So let's dive in and let me show you what I mean. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Eric Meldrum with True Living Group, and my team and I help people just like you guys make that move here to Michigan, and we've got your back when doing so. Back in 2015, my wife Brianna and I moved from California back to Michigan. We were born and raised here, so I know exactly what it's like to be sitting where you are right now. All right, so first things first, let's set the baseline. What does it actually cost to live in Ann Arbor right now? Okay, the median home price in Ann Arbor is sitting right around $433,000. Now, that's across all types. You got condos, townhomes, single-family homes in there, but if you narrow it down to just single-family homes specifically, you're looking at a closer price point of about $535,000. And if you want to live in one of the walkable, desirable neighborhoods that are near downtown, like Burns Park or Old West Side, you're pushing about $650,000 to $900,000 for something decent in those neighborhoods. All right, so surprise number one is the premium neighborhoods that everybody wants to be in do cost a lot more than you think. Burns Park, Old West Side, Ann Arbor Hills, Water Hill. These just aren't nice areas. These are some of the most competitive real estate markets in the entire Midwest, okay? Burns Park homes are selling anywhere from $650,000 to over $1 million. These are some really nice homes, but some of those kitchens don't even have an update to even mention. Nothing, okay? They could be a 1960s kitchen, but they're still selling for over $1 million. Maybe 900, maybe 800, right? And then you get my point. These are really nice homes, really desirable neighborhoods that everybody wants to be in. Okay, these are the 2,500 square foot homes or above. They were all built, early 1920s into the mid-century modern. But here's why the people want to be here. Okay, these neighborhoods are popular for a reason. You can walk to downtown Ann Arbor. You can walk your kids to Burns Park Elementary. You're 7 minutes from the big house on game day. Ann Arbor is one of those uniquely positioned cities that has a ton of walkability. So you can find it in these neighborhoods, which explains why people want to be there. And surprise number two, and I really want you guys to pay attention to this one because this is something people don't realize until after they've really settled in on Ann Arbor and they start running some mortgage rates and some calculators on that. And they're like, wait, why is my mortgage payment so high? Okay, I wasn't expecting this, which is the property taxes. Okay, everybody always forgets about the property taxes, but if you're a smart shopper, which I want you to be, okay, look at the property taxes, and you just need to know, okay, it's not the end of the world. You just need to know that Ann Arbor property taxes are higher than most other cities in the surrounding area, but there's a reason, which I'm going to get into. So when you look at Ann Arbor's millage rates, and that's how we calculate property taxes here in Michigan, is the millage rates. They're around 54 mills, okay? And that translates to about every $1,000 of home value, you're going to be taxed $54. So if you're buying a home that's $600,000, your property taxes are roughly going to be $8,100 per year. Now, this is where it can get confusing for some people because if you're sitting in California and you own a home, and let's say it's a $2 million home, your property tax bill probably looks somewhere like $15,000 a year. And even though it sounds like a win, like, oh yeah, I can cut my property taxes in half moving to Michigan. But when you're comparing Ann Arbor to, say, some of the surrounding areas like Livingston County, the millage rates are actually closer to like 35 mills. Okay, so you're paying about $3,000 more per year just to be in the Ann Arbor School District, in the city of Ann Arbor, and taking advantage of all the amenities. So even though you are paying more for property taxes in Ann Arbor, you got to look at what you're getting. Okay, what's the value exchange? Start looking at the public safety, the schools, the parks, the library system, all those things and the infrastructure, those cost money. okay? And they get paid for through property taxes. So if you want to live in a nice area with countless parks, over 113, point is you got a lot of services and you do get what you pay for. And surprise number 3 is your everyday costs, okay? They are not as cheap as you'd expect. Okay? This one surprises a lot of you guys, and frankly, I get it. If you're living in California or New York, you'd expect some of these things like everyday costs, like you'd expect it to be a little bit cheaper, but it's really not, okay? Ann Arbor has Whole Foods, multiple high-end grocery stores. You're shopping at some chains that you're probably shopping at in California, and the prices, they're not that different. A gallon of milk, a dozen eggs, your weekly grocery runs, you're maybe saving, I don't know, 10%. That's just like, I think a bonus, but I think majority of it is really the same. And when it comes to restaurants in Ann Arbor, you got an amazing restaurant scene, but they're not budget friendly, okay? This is a college town with people who have money, okay? You've got Zingerman's, you've got the Chop House, you've got a lot of high-end dining experiences in Ann Arbor. Dining out for two, like if I was taking my wife on a date to a decent place, I'm probably looking at right around $80 to $120. Same as a lot of coastal cities like New York or California. So when you look at the restaurant scene, a lot of great restaurants, but they're not any cheaper. And surprise number 4 is the competitive market. Here's the thing about Ann Arbor real estate. Inventory is tight, and it has been for a while, okay? I haven't seen a market where inventory is plentiful in Ann Arbor, okay? There just aren't that many homes for sale at any given time, especially in the premium neighborhoods. These are the neighborhoods that everybody wants to be in. But just in general, we are seeing multiple offers on a lot of homes in the Ann Arbor area. These homes are selling, under 35 days or less on the market. So if you're thinking, I'll just wait until the market softens and, kind of see what happens. I heard the interest rates are going to kind of get lowered. You might be waiting for a while, okay? This is not Detroit. This is not Flint. Ann Arbor is a very stable real estate market. All right, so if you're still with me, you guys, I just spent the last 6 minutes telling you all the ways Ann Arbor is more expensive than you probably thought. And you might be thinking, Eric, like, why the heck would I even move to Ann Arbor in the first place? And I'm going to tell you why, okay? There's a silver lining to all of this. So even with all these premiums, let's take a $650,000 house, in Ann Arbor. You're paying higher property taxes. You got the Whole Food prices, going out to eat's a little bit more expensive or the same from where you're coming from. You're probably still coming out ahead financially when you break down the numbers. So let's take a look at it. We're going to compare a Palo Alto home of $3 million to a $650,000 home in Ann Arbor. So the home in Palo Alto, you're looking at probably $18,000 a year just in property taxes. Your mortgage payment on the $3 million house, even with a big down payment, is probably north of $12,000 a month. Now compare that to the home in Ann Arbor for $650,000. Your property taxes are going to be around $8,000 per year. Your mortgage payment, even with 20% down, is probably around $3,500 a month. Okay, so in that comparison, you just freed up about $8,500 a month in housing costs. Okay, that's over $100,000 a year in cash flow. And even if you double that and increase your budget to 1.2 million, you are still freeing up a lot of cash per year. So yes, Ann Arbor is the most expensive city in Michigan, but it's still a fraction of what you're paying in California, New York, or even Florida in a lot of cases. And what you're getting for that in Ann Arbor is being in a walkable downtown, tons of parks, tons of recreation, great restaurants, great schools, just a great community overall. So, when you're considering that, you got to look at the trade-offs and make sure you understand what you're getting in Ann Arbor versus being on the outskirts. And if you're looking on the outskirts of Ann Arbor, I've done a lot of videos on those as well. All right, so here's my take, you guys. If you're moving to Michigan purely to save money, Ann Arbor is not your best option, okay? You're going to get a lot more house for less money in cities like Northville, Howell, Brighton, South Lyon, Saline, Dexter, some of the surrounding areas, all great cities. But if what you're optimizing for is actually being in the city of Ann Arbor and your life revolves around, kids sports and the schools, and you're working at the university or the hospital system there or any of the big tech companies in Ann Arbor, then Ann Arbor is definitely the premium play. So if you are seriously considering making that move to Ann Arbor or any of the neighboring cities and you want specifics on your situation, what neighborhoods make sense for you and your family, what your real budget actually needs to be, and how to navigate this market, I do this all day long, you guys. In addition to making videos, we run a very successful real estate company that helps you guys make that move here to Michigan. So give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or better yet, let's jump on Zoom and I'll walk you through it. Okay, my contact information is all down below in the description. Super easy to get a hold of me. And if you guys want to watch more videos on all things living here in Michigan to learn more and do your research, I got those right here as well. So until next time, I will see you on the next one.